All right. Well, welcome to another one of these safety compliance shows. I'm actually Sheldon Primus, if you guys didn't know that. You see the name right there, Sheldon Primus. What shoulder is that? I think that's that's the live show one. Here's my name right there. Now I know, right hand, Sheldon Primus. So I'm going to do a OSHA compliance help one for you guys. Again, I told you I'm going to try to do 2 to 3 times a week. It's 3:52 Eastern time. And I figured I was going to do like a basic one. Yesterday I tried to do pictures with the electrical. One of the ones that I did an actual walkthrough, and wow, that was really a tough electrical picture. So today I figured let me just go to an OSHA basics. And this is, which book are you supposed to use? Are you supposed to use the 1910 or 1926? So the part 1910 is general industry. The part 1926 is going to be construction. So some people are not aware of the difference between the two, general industry or construction. And I got to be honest, and sometimes in the early days, and actually one recent, I got to be honest, there was one recent that kind of threw me off a little, and then I had to rely on my partner Kevin, and he was like, oh wait, no, this one would be more general industry. It's not construction because it's manufacturing. So that one threw me off, but usually I'm good with this stuff. So if you have any comments or questions or anything related to when do you use 1910 general industry, or when do you use construction for your Code of Federal Regulations, the CFRs? That's what we're going to be talking about. So first, let's talk about the differences, or what general industry is. First, general industry is this. It's your activity. So OSHA looks at what the workers are actually doing, not your business type. So you may have a business, and your business could be some construction business, but you're actually maintaining equipment. Now you're actually doing general industry. So there's OSHA's over jurisdiction is over maritime, agriculture, general industry, and construction. So maritime is basically anything on the water, docks, shipyards, things like that. You're going to be maritime. If you are doing agriculture work on a farm, then that's another separate book. General industry is going to be anything such as manufacturing, repair work. That is going to be maintenance work. So I'm going to say maintenance is what you're going to look for there. You can have service industries that are in general industry, restaurants, general industry, service such as you're providing something like consulting services, general industry, banking services, that's general industry type work, medical, general industry. All those things fall into 1910 guidelines. So that's work as in general industry work. Construction work is a little bit different. Construction work, what's up, Paul? How are you doing? I'm glad that you're listening to the show on LinkedIn. And please, everyone, feel free to chat. And just as a ground rule, I am actually going to break my thought, go into the chat, make sure I cover everything, and then I'll go straight back into my thought. I'm kind of good at that. Sometimes I get thrown away and go down rabbit holes, but I usually find my way back. So with construction, when you're thinking of that activity, again, it's what the worker is doing. Their actual activity is what's going to be what you're looking at. So construction, by definition, and I'm going to show this to you on the OSHA side. So if you have your CFR, Mohammed, welcome. Hi to you as well. Another LinkedIn buddy there looking in, so good deal. If you have your CFRs, might as well, flip through it with me. Go grab your 1926, grab your 1910. If you got them both, bring them out, and we'll kind of flip through these things together. So this is here to help you with OSHA compliance. So in 1926, you're going to want to go to, again, I told you last time, I'm going to go through the parts and sections and everything else. So 1926, that's the part, construction. The subpart that we want to go to is C. Subparts are always a letter. The section that we want to go to is going to be section 32 in subpart C, which is definitions. And think of subpart C in construction as being it's being almost like how people think 5A1 and the OSHA Act is the catch-all for construction. It's like the guidelines for construction is subpart C. Even if you want to do what's called a focus inspection, you have to say that you are compliant to subpart C. You have a general contractor that is putting out everything in subpart C, and then you have what's called a competent person, and the competent person is going to make sure that all of subpart C is being followed on the site. If you could prove that, then at this part, then you will actually be okay for what's called a focus inspection. There are 4 things that are the leading cause of death, which are the focus 4, and it's falls, caught in, struck by, and electrocution. So if you have subpart C as in one of your guidances, then you can get a focus inspection. So I had a question come up: does OSHA oversee or manage the military service, either general industry or construction? Military does have their own standard, so depends on what branch of the military you're in. But OSHA does have a little jurisdiction issue. So generally speaking, the jurisdiction for OSHA will end if you're a government entity, and then the government will take over for you, with a few exceptions, like the Postal Service. They'll take money in from the public outside of the budgeting process. So in that way, then now the post office has opened themselves up to being regulated under OSHA. OSHA does have some jurisdiction issues with the actual Army, Navy, whatever the branch is, if there's civilians there. So if there's any kind of civilian activity on a base, then you're going to see a dual jurisdiction that goes on in those activities. And again, it is activities. So I said again and again. See, that's a lot of agains. So it really depends on who it is, and then also what the activity is. So there are some jurisdiction issues with that. And if you're thinking about overseas, then that's even harder to think about, because OSHA's jurisdiction is only in the U.S. and its territories. So when you go overseas, now you're thinking about OSHA expanding themselves outside of that. But what you're looking at is when you're in a military base overseas, you're under the U.S. jurisdiction at that base. So now you're getting into another area there. So that it's possible, but it's usually going to be more of the military entity that is going to have primary jurisdiction. And there's a few reasons to that, and you'll find that in the OSHA Act. Candace, thank you for hanging out. So, well, hello to you as well. I can't tell who the Facebook user was because I don't see a name attached to that. The person that asked a question here about does OSHA oversee or manage military services in either general industry or construction. So I did talk about that there, and I even added the little thing of overseas because that is, not likely. But let's bring that in as well. So back to the decision on, are you going to use the construction 1926, or you're going to use 1910 for the activities of the worker. So I'm going to show you guys. I pulled up something here. Oh, all right. So it was Steele. So my buddy Sylvester Steele, who is the mysterious Facebook user. So, all right, Steele, that's your answer. Hopefully that I'll cover you there. I am going to pull up and share with you guys my screen, and this is the thing we're going to answer right now is, what are we calling construction? What are we calling general industry? So I pulled this up a little bit earlier. Going to see if I could zoom into it. So if you're following along in your 1926 standard, you're going to go to subpart C. Towards the back of that subpart, it's going to have definitions. So when you get to the definitions, you're going to look at construction work means. And this is actually taken from another act, and this other act gives you the definition of construction work. OSHA incorporated it by reference, and this is what they're using here. Construction work for the purpose of this section means to construct, alteration, and or repair, including painting and decorating. Why? I don't know. I really don't know why they added painting and decorating, but that is going to be the actual definition for this one. But it actually goes even deeper than that, because there's some even terms. And I'm going to click on this over here. I'm going to see if you guys could see it. I'm going to flip back to the main page. If you guys can't see this, then I'm going to end up going back and closing one link and going to the other one. So it looks like you can see it. I had to flip over a little. So since you're seeing this, this is going to be over here, standard interpretations. So there's an interpretation letter out there. This one over here, the second interpretation letter, that is going to kind of blow your mind if you're really thinking of, am I doing construction? Am I doing general industry? And the activity is, am I maintaining, or am I building, painting, decorating something? And then that tells you which standard to look at. So someone had a question to OSHA, and they want to figure out, which book do I go in? So people do this frequently. They write OSHA letters. So when OSHA gets these letters, they do what's called a standard interpretation, because they do a letter of interpretation, letter to OSHA. OSHA goes back. So in this letter of interpretation, it's really funky. So let's go ahead and tell you all about this. So this person is thinking about, they gave a description about the breadth and everything else about this work. So OSHA says over here, unlike construction work, there's no regulatory definition for maintenance. So this person wanted to know, are we doing maintenance or are we doing construction? There's no definition for maintenance. So they actually go back into the actual dictionary, and the dictionary defines this as making or keeping a structure, fixture, or foundation, substrates in parentheses, in proper condition in a routine, scheduled, and anticipated fashion. That's the key. So if you're thinking of something that's in a routine, anticipated, and some sort of structured, where you're doing this, once a year, every other year, every 3 years we do this work, then you might have a case to say that you are maintaining this property by doing something to keep the structural integrity of this, even though the activity may be seen as construction. And they went even further to kind of give you a detailed understanding of this. And this one is kind of interesting. And again, it's kind of, you can't see it as much, but I'm going to read it to you since the words are so tiny. So over here, construction work is not limited to new construction, but it includes repair of existing facilities or replacement of structures and their components. For example, the replacement of one utility pole with a new identical pole would be maintenance. However, if the replacement of an improved pole or equipment, it would be considered construction. Like, what just happened here? Did we I forgot, I got it on my board. Maybe I should be using my sound on my board. So I'm gonna go flip right back. I'm gonna do over here. I've got a nice little soundboard. So here's my my explosion from my brain. So that's truly when you're thinking about this stuff, you're like, hold on. So what did you just hear? What you just heard was, if you are doing like product for like product, then it is maintenance. So this utility pole, Even though it's new, it's the same pole we had. We're just replacing this one pole that may be deteriorating with a new pole. The construction work and the repair work should hit the definition of construction work. But OSHA in this letter of interpretation is saying like part for like part maintenance. They went on even further to give another one of these clarifications. I'm going to go down a little bit more, and let's read this one for you. And it does kind of take it a little bit further. OSHA does not, right now, if OSHA didn't believe this anymore, what you would see on the top of this interpretation letter is a little red banner that says that this letter doesn't necessarily reflect current OSHA's belief. And since there's an absence of this, then I'm thinking OSHA still believes in this. So let's go down a little bit further. In addition to the concept of one-for-one replacement versus improvement, the scale and complexity of the project are relevant. This takes into consideration concepts which amount to time and material required to complete the job. For example, if a steel beam in a building had deteriorated and was to be replaced by a new but identical beam, the project will be considered a construction repair rather than maintenance because of the replacement project scale and complexity. So therefore, even though I just said, because we read the paragraph before, that it was like equipment for like equipment was maintenance, they're now making a new delineation that says, even though it's the same material, we actually think this now is construction because it's more complex job. So now you have another consideration to make as to, am I going to be here as the safety officer regulating these guys with 1910, or I'm going to be regulating them with 1926? And we're not regulators. We're just helping them actually go through the process, and we want to make sure we keep ourselves clear from any kind of, OSHA citations or anything. And that's, if you do get the cite, hire me. That's what we do. Me and my business partner, Kevin Yarbrough of Celro Safety. That's what we do. We take on these cases, and we go and we represent people in front of OSHA. So that's why I want to make sure that I know definitions. If you don't know definitions in a legal term, you're going to be up the creek, and it's going to be one of those really short informal conferences when they laugh you out the door. You don't want that to happen. So here's your buddy Sheldon helping you out. So here's another one, same paragraph. Also, if a bridge would be stripped and repainted, that would be considered construction work, even if the repair was done on a scheduled basis. Replacement of sections of limestone cladding on a building, though not necessary, a large project in the term of scale would typically be considered construction because of the complex task in view of the steps involved and the tools, equipment needed to work. So that is their definition for like material to like material. It really boggles the brain. So therefore, let's give you, for instance, you are now in a manufacturing plant, and you're doing some manufacturing work, and it's a slow day. You haven't had enough orders in there, and then all of a sudden the owner says, all right, guys aren't really doing much in the last few months, or maybe even the last week or two, because we just don't have the orders. Let's go ahead and let's change out these gutters over here. And manufacturing, you guys have been all over 1910. You know all about 1910. And now let's say the gutter work that you need to do involves you getting up on a ladder to do this work. You just actually are still in 1910 subpart D for walking and working surface if the material is same material, like for like. But let's say the owner now decided, let's go up and let's get these seamless gutters. Those things are awesome. I like these things. You're doing the same work on the same ladder. Now you're in 1926 subpart X. So you'll have to follow subpart X for your ladder use, and that's the standard you're going to be guided on. The same work You change material, and what you're doing now is you're getting an upgrade to that building by doing the seamless gutters versus the other type of gutters you're using there. Same activity, same manufacturing. Instead of 1910, you're going to have to go out, and if you're not if you're the safety and health officer of that facility that's doing manufacturing, and now all of a sudden you're like, hold on, I don't have a 1926. I only have 1910 general industry. That's all we guided by. So that will just mess with you a little bit there. I wanted to really go into that mini deep dive for you because like right now, let's say we're doing some decorating and you're a city facility trying to do all the Christmas lights and decorations and everything around your town. There's a case that says if you're under a state plan that has jurisdiction over the state workers, that you now may be doing construction work because you're doing decorating. Painting. You're going to go around and you're painting the facility. It's looking dull. Painting automatically gets 1926 versus 1910. I do not know why, but that's the rules. So when let's say you're going out there and you're trying to, show your workers, all right, let's follow this standard over here, or let's follow these safety acts, then truly you want to make sure that you're pointing out the right book. And it is as simple as mud, right? Or clear as mud in some cases. And that's truly because you have to think about all the different avenues or all the different complexities to this project. So truly that is the difference between maintenance and construction. You're going to have to choose your book right. And even if you're picking out your maintenance and construction book, then we have another thing called incorporated by reference. I won't even get on that one. Maybe I'll have to do that one next week, where it's incorporated by reference, where even 1910 and 1926 aren't good enough. You're going to have to start getting other books in order for you to stay compliant with OSHA. And that's another set of rules there too. So I truly hope that you guys had helped you out in any way. If you have not took the chance, I do still have the Safety Consultant Blueprint course. I do have 3 options on the course. So if you're thinking about being a consultant, this is the time to do it. I really believe so. I really think that this is the time to do it. Go out there and I'm not saying quit your job. Sheldon's not telling you that. I don't want any spouses on my case. Don't go quitting your job, but it's a good time to start at the same time a safety consulting business a little bit at a time. Take on some projects, get the training in, and then later on take on bigger and bigger projects as you go. So you go to safetyconsultantblueprint.com. There's 3 different plans. One is the course only. One is where you're getting a little bit more from the course, because you're also going to be able, if you're thinking of podcasting, I'll help you out with that one. And then also another option would be me coaching you along the way as well. So that is it. If you had not get a chance to listen to the podcast, go to whatever device you listen to podcasts on. Look up Safety Consultant with Sheldon Primus. Just type in those words in that podcast, and then you'll be able to follow along with my Safety Consultant podcast. It's the podcast where I show you the business of being a safety consultant, but I do go over some other things. I do interviews and a few other things like that. There's a podcast out today from Blair Boyd, who is in Scotland, and it is safer than your average podcast. And I am the guest on that one today. And then yesterday was a release from Jill James, who is the one who does Accidental Safety Pro, and she's also on Safety FM with me. And she had me interviewed there as well. So if you can't get enough of this squeaky voice, then you got 2 other ways of hearing it. Listen to Jill James this week and listen to Blair Boyd this week, and you got me on both of them. So, all right. I think I tapped this one. Hopefully you're able now to delineate between a construction activity and a maintenance activity. So when it's time to actually look at which standard that you're going to set your safety system in, that you know, all right, even though we're a manufacturing facility, we're about to take on a construction project. Let's get a little bit versed on 1926. Or we're a construction facility, and now we're about to do some maintenance activity. Let's go ahead and grab 1910 and let's go through that. So hopefully this helped you out. Share this with anyone else if you did not get a chance. Candace, thank you for your support. She's telling me I did a wonderful job. I even got the little clap emoji. I like that one. Hold on, Candace. I'm going to give you. I got to get on this board, man. I don't use the board much. Thank you, Candace. Thank you. So anyway, so that's me geeking out on my board. So anyway, you guys all have a wonderful rest of your week. I think I'm tapped this week. Maybe the next one I do will be on Monday, since we're getting towards the holiday. And what I'll do is let's go into incorporation by reference. Teach you guys that not only the 1910 and 1926, if you're in maritime, you have 3 books, 17, 18, and 19. 17, 16, and 18, I believe. 15, 16, and 18 is maritime, and then 28 is ag. So you get beyond that one, you get incorporated by references. We'll teach you that next time. So anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day and your evening. This is the part when I tell you, go get them.